Good morning and welcome to Backyard and Beyond. Folks who listen often ask me, well, where do you get all your ideas? 5 days a week, it sometimes is a challenge to come up with a topic. So I just kind of take them wherever I can get them. And I'm always thankful when all of you give me ideas. But last evening for our dinner, we had asparagus, fresh asparagus, yummy stuff. And so I thought, well, we're just going to talk about asparagus a little bit. And one of my favorite ways to prepare asparagus is to put it in a skillet with a little bit of water and pre-cook it just a bit. Not very much because I don't want it squishy. I want it almost crispy. Pour that water off and then sprinkle on some sesame seeds and a little bit of soy sauce, and it is ready and it is yummy. But there are so many ways to fix asparagus. But just a bit more about sesame seeds. Sesame seeds, where do you think about sesame seeds? Well, often they're sprinkled on top of a hamburger bun or some other kind of bread. They can be ground up and used in desserts. And one of the favorite things that I've used as an appetizer is it's mostly cream cheese, but it has some flavoring in it, rolled into a ball and then covered in sesame seeds, and people have really liked that. Well, would you believe that a sesame seed comes from a sesame plant? Sometimes that isn't the case. Indeed, the coveted and tasty seeds from this hardy plant were first recorded from the Assyrians 3000 BC. So they've been around a long time. For nearly as long, a variety of sesame plants have flourished throughout the rest of Middle East and Asia, where their seeds and oils have been used liberally for culinary, medicinal, health, and beauty purposes. Indeed, sesame seeds often pop up in Middle Eastern and Asian recipes, and as we mentioned, in foods or also in tasty marinades and dipping sauces. The sesame seed plant reaches heights of 6 feet and sprouts oblong leaves and seed pods. The plant requires a fairly long and warm growing season of 4 to 5 months and favors conditions similar to those needed to grow soybeans. So we probably could grow seed plants here, sesame seed plants. I have not tried that. That would be a good challenge. Sesame seeds are in demand the world over. Most of those grown in the U.S. are in the southern and western states, and around the world in China, India, and the West Indies. Now, most of the sesame seeds, I think all of the sesame seeds that I've seen are white or slightly off-white, but they also come in black, brown, and red varieties. Have you heard the term open sesame? Well, the rumor has it that the popping sound made when mature sesame seed pods split open were the beginning of the saying, open sesame. It's sort of interesting how those stories get started. And in terms of nutritional value, well, you're not going to eat very many of those. I guess that probably most people don't eat a tablespoon at a time. It may be closer to a teaspoon. But they do have some anti-cancer properties, and they also have high antioxidant content. So there is a bit of good nutritional value to them too, as well as adding good kind of a nutty flavor. Well, whether you're going to use sesame seeds on your asparagus or not, just bring you up to date on asparagus. Chris just mentioned to me one of his favorite ways to fix it is to grill it, and that is, if you got the grill going, that's a great way to do asparagus. And you can just kind of do it pretty plain. Add a tablespoon of olive oil to a pound of asparagus spears. You want it fairly hot, kind of not burning hot, but fairly hot. And then season it with salt and pepper if you'd like, or perhaps some garlic, or lots of opportunities there. If the grill isn't going and you have the oven going, well, you can roast asparagus, and it would take an oven of 400 degrees and about 25 minutes. So you probably don't want to start the oven just to do a small batch of asparagus. But again, a little olive oil. And we haven't talked about salt for a while, but the sea salt, kosher salt, the bigger grain salt, you just need a little bit of that sprinkled on top. and it would take, as I said, about 25 minutes. You need to lay them in a single layer on a baking sheet, drizzle them with olive oil, and kind of roll them around until they're covered with the olive oil, and then sprinkle them with salt and pepper if that is your preference. But if you start looking for recipes, you will find hundreds of recipes. Asparagus, I find, is often combined with eggs. I've had a casserole that contained eggs and a creamy base and asparagus, probably some other things. I've seen them in an egg sandwich. Anybody eat egg sandwiches? Just add some asparagus spears to your egg sandwich. Or, you can get more gourmet and do lots of other things with them. Well, what about keeping asparagus? If you get some fresh asparagus, and of course you can get it, I think canned, but that certainly would not be my choice. You can get it frozen, and that's my second choice. Fresh is my first choice. So what do you do with it when you get it? How is it going to keep its freshness to the best of its ability? Well, there are 3 suggested methods of helping to keep it fresh as possible, keep the flavor good, keep it from wilting. Asparagus may be stored for probably up to a week or so, but it's really best to eat it sooner than that. But place bundled stalks upright in a bowl or dish with about an inch of water to keep the bottom of the stalks moist so that it doesn't lose any moisture through those cut ends. A second way is to wrap the cut ends of asparagus in a moist paper towel, and to trim the fresh asparagus, cut about 1/4 of an inch of the stem off, wash it with water several times, pat it dry, and place it in a moisture-proof wrapping like plastic wrap. Cover and refrigerate and use within 2 or 3 days for best quality. Third suggestion is to wrap it in a moist paper towel around just the stem ends, and again, keep that paper towel moist, so you will need to wrap it in some foil or some plastic, something to keep those cut ends fresh. The whole stalk doesn't need to be submerged, just the cut ends. And, of course, keep it cold. Now, if you have enough that you're going, now what am I going to do with it? You can freeze it, and that's pretty easy. If you're, this isn't suggested by my credible sources. If you're going to eat it within a couple of weeks or within a month, you probably can just put it dry in the freezer. But if there's any chance that you're going to have it in the freezer any longer time, you really need to blanch it. And the best thing to do is to sort it by size of thickness, small, medium, and large. Blanch it in boiling water and take it out, and it's good, just like other things that you blanch, to have some cold water ready so it stops the blanching product when you put that into the cold water. Drain it well and pack it into freezer bags. Good idea to label it when you put it into that bag. And just like with everything else, it's best if your freezer is at 0 degrees, not just freezing temperature of 32 or 30. Your freezer really needs to be at a 0 degrees. So it's best to put a thermometer in there once in a while to check that out for any kind of food. For best quality, use it within 8 months and do not defrost it before cooking. Now, if you have a small batch, you don't want to do all the bringing a pot of water to boiling and having a big pot of cold water. Well, if you have a small amount, you can blanch it in the microwave. You just add a couple tablespoons of water per pound, put it in the microwave for about 2 minutes. It should be bright green and crisp, and again, you're ready. Would still probably put it in some cold water to stop that blanching process. Drain it and put it into that freezer bag, and it will keep well for up to 8 months. So, good way to keep it if you happen to have any extra. Most people just eat it up, and we don't have much left for the future time. Last topic about asparagus is, what are the nutritional values? Good news And when you're looking at it, you probably can guess, bright green, bright orange, bright red, any bright color in a vegetable or a fruit says that it's quite high in nutritional value. That is true of asparagus. It is one of the most nutritionally well-balanced vegetables. It leads nearly all produce items in a wide array of nutrients. Asparagus is one of the nature's true food heroes as it is a source of some protein, vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and iron. It also has some of those other items that we keep hearing a little more about, like the phytochemicals and antioxidants that we need to prevent some of the diseases. We think it probably helps quite a bit. Folic acid is another item, and asparagus is next to orange juice as the second best whole food source of folic acid. And folic acid is known to lower the risk of heart disease, colon cancer, liver disease, and spina bifida. So, eat up. Just to summarize that it's low in calories, contains no fat or cholesterol, very low in sodium, good source of potassium, source of fiber, excellent source of folic acid, thiamine, vitamin B, and so on. Hey, great. Get some fresh asparagus and enjoy today. Until tomorrow, here's the thought. Opportunity may knock once, but temptation continues to bang on the door forever.